right, so by a show of hands, who has ever played the game of dots and boxes? Right? Okay, good. Now by another show of hands, who is actually good at it? I just saw some hands change in the audience. All right, so for those of you who have never played the game of dots and boxes, it is a game in which dots are configured in the shape of a square or a rectangle. And the entire objective of the game is to connect the fourth line of as many squares or to complete as many squares as you possibly can. And of course, the person who has the most squares by the end of the game is the victor. Right, and this is one of those games that you find on the back of a children's menu at a restaurant. Right, so you have 8-year-old Jordan, I'm in a restaurant, I'm sitting down, I'm super excited, I have my menu, and I flip it over, hoping that it's tic-tac-toe, but instead, I roll my eyes because it's dots and boxes. Now, I have a deep understanding of the concept of dots and boxes now as a 19-year-old, but when I was 18, I had no clue what I was doing. Like, I was terrible at dots and boxes. I will always lose to my dad in this game. But when you think about the concept of dots and boxes, and you compare the concept of the game to education in today's time, the similarities are strikingly similar. Right, when you look at the dots in the game of dots and boxes, the dots serve as our academic requirements as students. So you could view the dots as, the classes that we have to take that are built into the curriculum, right? These are the essays that we have to write. These are even the schools that we are currently in, but we need to complete our academic requirements in order to get to the next level of education. Right, when you view the lines in the game of dots and boxes, the lines serve as our efforts as students. Now notice that the dots are fixed in the game of dots and boxes. You can't change the dots. They're already built into the game once you start playing. The only thing that you can control in order to win the game of dots and boxes is to strategically draw the lines to create the squares. And this is exactly the same principle when we talk about successful students. If you focus so much on the requirements, some of these academic requirements are immovable. But once you focus on the efforts that you put into those assignments, that you put into that PowerPoint presentation, that you put into that exam, that's when you start to draw the lines and create the squares. Now, lastly, the squares in the game of dots and boxes serve as our opportunities, right? These are the amazing internships that we get as students. These are the amazing relationships that we build with teachers and students alike. But the most important opportunity that you will ever get as a student is to find the unique purpose that was meant for your life. Right? What if you could actually find the thing that you are talented in and your purpose inside of the classroom? Like, what if the thing that you are gifted in that you haven't even tapped into yet could be found in the class or the organization that you are already a part of? As a junior in high school, I took this digital arts class, and in this class, we had an essay assignment that was due online. And it's one of those assignments that you do it online, you submit it at night, and then you come in the next class and talk about the assignment amongst the class. So I submit my essay, I come in the next day, and I sit down at my desk. About 20 minutes into this class, a teacher comes over to my desk, and she says, "Jordan, I need to see you after class." I said, "Cool." So we wait until everybody leaves, and that was just me and Miss Ween, who was my digital arts teacher, in this classroom. We start talking, and one of the first things that she said was, "Jordan, that was one of the best essays I've ever read from any student that I've taught." Yo, when she told me that, I was hyped. I was like, yo, I spent so much time on this one essay, I just got this automatic grade, right? And my teacher just told me that I was one of the most talented students that she had ever witnessed in the classroom. But the very next thing that she would tell me, it sparked something in me that had never been sparked before. She said, "Jordan, I know you're a straight A student. Like, just based off of the talent that you displayed in this essay, I know you probably have straight A's. You probably already know what college you want to go to. You're set, son. Just keep working hard." And like I said, that felt good in the moment. But later that day, I had to go home and look in the mirror at a student who had a 2.4 GPA at the time, with C's and D's on his report card, who had never gotten straight A's in his entire life. Right after that conversation, I started to replay my entire academic career back over again. Realized that people were always telling me that I was talented outside of the classroom. Was a three-sport athlete in high school. I always knew how to speak and convey my ideas effectively, but when it came to my grades, my talents were never reflected. So as a junior in high school, I decided to buckle down. I said, for the next 60 days, I'm going to commit myself to achieving academic excellence. I didn't say I was going to do it to earn straight A's. I didn't say I was going to do it to get accepted into college. Right? I didn't say I was going to do it in order to get my high school diploma. I said that I was going to commit myself to achieving academic excellence for that teacher who saw greatness in me. I was going to commit myself to being the best student that I could possibly be for every single person who had poured into me and who had invested in me. When me and my teacher had that conversation, I realized that the picture was bigger than me. And in just a 60-day time period, I was able to go from earning C's and D's on my first quarter report card as a junior in high school to earning straight A's in the very next quarter. I went from C's and D's to straight A's in just a 60-day time period, complete turnaround as a student. Right through this academic transformation, I actually found my gift and my talent in motivational speaking. Guys, when I tell y'all I would kill my PowerPoint presentations, it would be over. Like, I would do it, and they would, like, end class early. They'd be like, Jordan just spoke, y'all can go home. Like, there's no more presentations after this. Right, and that's when I found that I was so talented in this thing, and as I started to do more PowerPoint presentations in school, I actually started to develop a love for it. Right, I actually found my gift in motivational speaking through school. By the time I was a senior in high school, I got opportunities to speak all outside of the classroom. I got opportunities to speak at national conferences, organizations, and even other schools. And these speaking opportunities that I got were through the referrals of the teachers who saw me speak in school. Right, I talked to, one of the opportunities that I got to speak was at the PBS National Education Telecommunications Convention as a senior in high school. That speaking opportunity came from the referral of one of my teachers who had seen me do a PowerPoint presentation in my English class, guys. I got the opportunity to compete in Future Business Leaders of America and compete in public speaking against some of the top youth public speakers in the entire country. That opportunity came from a financial planning presentation that I had for that class. My teacher sent in a referral for me to speak at these conferences, and I would go and I would operate in my gift. Now, I realize that this revelation of your gift and your talent through school doesn't just have to be through motivational speaking. Right? When I think about people who have found their gift in school, I think about people like Ryan Coogler, right, who is the director of the Marvel movie Black Panther. Right? Ryan Coogler actually found his gift in film directing through an assignment that he had in his creative writing class in college. He had an assignment in this creative writing class where he had to write an essay about a very emotional time in his life. He submitted the essay, and the teacher called him into the office and said, Ryan, you should use this gift in writing and use it to make movies. After he graduated, he will be one of the most sought-after directors in the game today. When he did that assignment, he was a chemistry major. Never even thought about being a film director. But again, he found his purpose in school. I also think about people like Issa, who was the director of the Netflix hit Insecure. Right, Issa actually found her gift in creative writing and actually developed web series while she was in college through her experience as an African American studies major in college. Again, finding your purpose in school. Now think about a student who gives school everything that they have for 60 days. They finally find out that they're actually pretty good in the math class that they didn't even like going to. Right, they found out that they're good in math, they enroll in the STEM program, and they get career-oriented opportunities that will change their entire career path. Right, think about that student who changes their perspective about their teachers and changes their perspective about education and is inspired to become a teacher because they see the impact that these teachers have on the community. Guys, these opportunities might not be portrayed in the media. You might not see these kind of stories on TV, but students are finding their purpose and what they were meant to do with their lives in school each and every day. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, Jordan, how can I find my purpose in school? You say to give this extra effort and to do all of these extra things, but what does that look like in practicality? I always tell students to focus on the 3 C's. Right? First is consistency. Secondly, I focused on my communication. And then lastly, I focused on my cognizance, or in other words, my awareness. I focused on my consistency when I went from C's and D's to straight A's. And I made a pact that I would do every single assignment that came across my desk as a student. No matter how big, no matter how small, I did every exit ticket, every essay assignment, every warm-up, every PowerPoint presentation, and I gave those assignments all of my effort, skill, and energy. Being consistent allowed me to know that the quantity of my work would never play a negative factor in determining my grade. Secondly, I focused on my communication. I realized that it was very important to speak effectively not only with my classmates, but with my teachers. And when I went from season D's to straight A's, I sat down with each and every one of my teachers and I said, Miss Ween, Miss Press, what can I do in your class to earn an A? I know I might have a C right now, but I know that I'm more than capable of getting an A. Not only did they actually give me the information that would allow me to work towards getting an A, but it created an accountability system because they knew exactly what I wanted to accomplish as a student. Then lastly, I focused on my cognizance, in other words, my awareness. I realized early in this transformation that I was gifted in writing and speaking. And my notes in my classes looked totally different from anybody else's in the class. Like by the time I was finished writing my notes in my math class, it looked like a 5-paragraph essay, right? Because it was a hard class, and I realized that I was gifted in writing, so I literally wrote out the concept and the meaning behind every single equation that we did. I used my academic strengths to my advantage, and I always took very detailed notes because I knew that I was a gifted writer. So guys, even if you don't find your purpose within the next 60 days like I did, maybe you'll find it within the next 160 days. Maybe you'll find it within the next 260 days. But guys, I also value the transferable processes that I gained from making the transformation. Right? Because if it wasn't for me going from season D's to straight A's, and if it wasn't for me meeting with every single one of my teachers and talking to them about what I wanted to accomplish, I wouldn't now have the confidence to walk into a school as a motivational speaker, sit down with, last but not least, I cannot fail to shout out our teachers. Right? Because if it wasn't for that one art teacher that spoke life into me in that moment, and if it wasn't for that revelation that she exposed to me, I would have never made this transformation in the first place. And it always seems like that the person on the other side of the table, the person that is playing against you, is playing against you. Right? It seems like that our teachers, our principals, our administrators, and our counselors are against us, but in actuality, they're drawing the lines to help us finish those squares. They're staying an hour or 2 hours after school to help us with our work. They're spreading the word about the good things that we do without us even being present. Like I said, I got opportunities to speak through the referral of my teachers who saw me speak in the PowerPoint presentation that everybody else did in school. So we need to value our teachers. Your teachers are not against you. They're actually drawing lines and making efforts for you. Now, the thing that I challenge you to do when you leave today is to give school 100% of your time, effort, and energy. I always say that the student that is empowered either knows exactly what they want to do with their future, or they are driven by the pursuit to find it. So figure out which student you are today. Do you already know that you're going to become a world-renowned singer? Right? Do you already know that you're gifted in biology, or you want to be a mathematician, or you want to be a zoologist, or whatever it may be? Or are you in the process of finding it? Whichever one you are, you should be driven to give your best effort in school each and every day to either operate in the gift or to find the gift. And guys, this doesn't even mean being a straight A student. Right? I just want you to be the best student that you could possibly be by applying the 3 C's. So if you're at straight D's right now, maybe straight B's is your straight A's. Right? Maybe if you're a C student, maybe getting all A's and B's is reflective of the best student that you could possibly be. But remember, we cannot focus on the dots. We will never win the game of dots and boxes if we focus on the requirements or the things that we do not have direct control over. I found my gift in motivational speaking because I focused on my effort. I focused on the lines, and I realized that it was bigger than me. So the next time you walk into the classroom, the next time you had that conversation with your teacher, or the next time you had that essay that you don't feel like doing, take advantage of the opportunity to find your purpose for your life. Realize that the lines are the things that create those squares. And the most important square of all, the square that will win you the game, is the square in which you find the purpose for your life. Thank you.